Hi everybody. So it is April the 26th, Sunday, 2020, and we are in the middle of a COVID lockdown. I just thought I would give you a tour of my garden for 2020, talk about what I'm planting, what's in the ground now, and what's coming up next. So let's start with my grow station. I don't know if I showed this last year, but I have a lovely little tower that we bought from, I think, B&Q for about 40 odd pounds, not very expensive. And it's wonderful. I managed to fit the grow lights underneath with some cable ties and these seed trays, which were £5.99, I think, as well. And I've got my seedlings going. So because it's April, we have had glorious weather for the last couple of weeks. So I've decided to get the beans going. Lovely. They're all coming up nicely. I've got my sweet corn coming up nicely as well, and they'll be ready to plant out soon. I've also got some melons here growing, some baby watermelons, which I'm really excited to grow this year. And my aubergines, which are there under the lights, not yet ready to plant out because I'm just really waiting for the nights to get above sort of 10, 11 degrees consistently. So pumpkins, courgettes and squashes are up here as well. And I've just started my cucumber seeds and gherkins here. So yeah, so this is the inside, the grow station. I've got some ginger coming up here and some leeks there. First lot of leeks, which are there. Obviously, sorry, another set of lettuce to go out. Second lot of leeks for Mama. They're also coming up. So here I've got my blackberry tree, yeah, I guess, bush, and some lemons. I've been growing these since 2018 from seed. One plant there and one plant there. This is my lettuce station here. All my different lettuces. These are from last year, and they're sort of needing to be pulled out now. And I put in a fresh crop at the back there. These are some of my chard from last year, and just look at the size of the leaves. Absolutely huge. I mean, just to give you an idea, this is my hand. This is my hand, and that's the leaf. So it's yeah, it's just huge. Beautiful. Some extra strawberries here. Some what are these again? Oh, daikon radish, and some I can't remember what they're called now, the cherry ones. Okay, so over here I've got Charlotte's, Desiree and Maris Piper, first and second early potatoes at the back in the buckets. Apple tree, this is the second sowing of carrots in this bucket here. And this is what I'm harvesting today. So I'm going to be harvesting a lot of the big leaved shards, cutting them up and freezing them. They are absolutely gorgeous, frozen. And I've got to cut up my spinach. This is strawberry spinach here. These ones are strawberry spinach, and then in here I've got regular spinach in there as well, the winter spinach. So I'm going to be cutting that back because this tub will end up having courgettes in it. I had lots of spillover potatoes, so they've gone in these tiny little buckets, just one potato per bucket. So yeah, I planted out my peppers. These are my chilies and my sweet peppers, huge variety. And the reason I planted them out is the nights are about 10, 11, 10-ish degrees, getting down to about 6 and 7. So what I've got is at night, I'm going to be putting those covers on top of them. Because to be honest, they're coping really well with the days. It's wonderful. And they just need a little bit of protection at night, and they should do well. It's an experiment, so we'll see. If they don't do well, I'll know for next year. I'm not going to take that chance with the aubergines, though, because I just feel that they just need it a little warmer. So I also planted out my amaranth, or callaloo as we call it, with some parsley in there. And these are my guava and my blueberry bushes. So yeah, so that's that part. Growing lots of flowers as well for the pollinators. They've not come up yet, but I'm growing different flowers for the pollinators. This is my herb station here. So I've got savoury, coriander, dill growing, rosemary, all the ones that overwinter. So chervil, sage, tarragon. I've got the, what's it called? curry plant as well, and then lots of strawberries. I bought new strawberries this year as well because this is the third year and I just wanted to refresh my strawberry bed. So there's some new plants there, and this is the old one. And once this bed is finished this year, I'll pull these out and then transplant the new ones into this bed. I've also planted out my tomatoes, again early-ish. I did do this a couple of years ago, and the growth got a little bit stunted, but they picked up and they were absolutely fine. And I had early tomatoes. I had tomatoes in sort of end of July, and most people weren't getting tomatoes until August, so it was pretty good. So yeah, oh sorry, I forgot to show you this bucket. This is my bucket of onions I planted out with carrots. So that's my first sowing of carrots and onions I've put together. These are my main crop potatoes at the back. I've got roosters and I've forgotten the ones, the varieties I'm growing. I have so many varieties of potatoes I'm growing. So roosters and I can't see it from here, but I've got a list. Some more onions and lettuces, my chives, and obviously loads of strawberries. This is overwintered. Fennel, which I cut back heavily, is starting to come up again. And here, for the first time, I'm growing savoury. Oh my God, my poor brain. I'm growing, what's it called again? Oh, salsify, that's right. So salsify, which looks like carrots, but apparently doesn't taste anything like carrot. So I'm growing that for the first time this year. Also growing lemongrass for the first time this year in that bucket there. That's lemongrass, which I'm really looking forward to. At the back, I've got more tomatoes. That's my rhubarb bush, of course. And I stuck the lemongrass here, some extra that I had, and it's just gone absolutely wild. I had to remove the mint from this bed, this one here. Who told me to put mint in the bed? It was coming up everywhere, so I pulled it out and I've stuck it in 3 pots actually. I had to separate it. So these are my broad beans, which I planted some last year, overwintered, and they're doing okay. I also put some fresh ones in as well in the spring, and yeah, they seem to be doing well. The lettuces I planted out a couple of weeks ago, which are doing well. These are ones from last year, which will be pulled out soon. I've got some more coriander growing here, potatoes, another, this is lettuce station again, my wonderful lavender, which I made lavender oil last year, and my walking onions are walking. See, they're walking. So these are the baby onions. I've also stuck some in with the potatoes as well, so that once they root, I'll pull them up and plant them by themselves. So this is the first year that I'm growing oca. Okay, oca, very small tuberose, reminds me, looks a bit like turmeric, but it's the first year I'm growing oca. Apparently it has a lemonish kind of taste, so we'll see. My raspberry bushes are starting again, and can you see my blueberry bush? Look at that. Don't they look fantastic? So yeah, so I put some new blueberries in last year. So I've got pink blueberries and blueberries, some that fruit in June, August and September. Sorry, July, August and September. So I'll have blueberries throughout the year. Some peas going here, which is nice. I've got celery coming up all over the garden. And that's because I had a celery bush at the back there, right at the back there in that bed, and once it went to seed, it spread celery absolutely everywhere. So in here I've got sweet peas growing with gladioli, which will be coming up again. I don't know if you can see the gladioli at the back there, that they're going to be coming up the long stalks. And here I'll have cucumbers shortly. This bed here, these are all my cabbages. So these big ones, these are overwintered from last year. I'm going to be harvesting all of the big ones today, cutting them up and freezing them because they're just fabulous frozen. And then these are the new ones I put in this year, literally a week or 2 ago. See a little bit of damage from insects, but you know, what I do is I just cut away the outer leaves, and yeah, they're still good. My cabbages don't necessarily heart up very well, but the leaves are still really good, and so I still use them, and it's still, as far as I'm concerned, it's all about the taste and the flavour. So these are the new kales I put in a couple of weeks ago, and this is the one overwintered from last year, which I'll also be harvesting today and using up. You can eat the flowers as well, they're pretty good, they taste fine. At the back I put in some broccoli calabrese, which is looking wonderful now, looking lovely. these are my leeks from last year. I've got a whole bunch in the freezer already. So Jolent and Muscle Burr. The Muscle Burr gave me really fat leeks. The Jolent are these tiny ones. They're not that thick, but they're still tasty. Yeah, they're still good. Some are like pencil size, but they still taste really good. So I'm quite happy. More potatoes at the back. And let me show you this bed here. So these are my quinoa. I'm growing quinoa for the first time this year. Okay, which is a grain, which is a gluten-free grain, which you use as a substitute for rice. So this is what I'm growing this year. I'm really excited to grow it. It will last. I don't have to harvest it until obviously the end of the season when it's about to flower, and I'll get the quinoa seeds. So more calabrese and cabbage here. These are potatoes. All of these are potatoes, which I've covered in grass for the first time, and shredded paper, which I'm going to keep adding more grass and shredded paper to it. At the back, in the middle, these are all of my garlics. I've got elephant garlic, and I've got Provence and Isle of Wight garlic at the front. And this bed is full of shallots, which, as you can see, these are from last year, by the way. I put them in around October time. They're all starting to split and just looking fantastic. And this bed is full of all of my onions, Shakespeare, and various variety of onions here. I've got some fresh, these are from last year I put in, and these are the ones that I recently put in a couple of days ago. So yeah, so that's my garden so far. As you can see, I have potatoes dotted around all over the place. Another first for me this year is I'm growing lupins, so sweet lupins. And this here, these are the lupins, and this is like it looks a bit like beans, but this is will also give me another source of protein as well for the year, which is fantastic. And at the back, I don't know if you remember last year, I had these are my collards. I had them in the end bed, and I had to get them out because they grow quite tall, which meant I couldn't put the lid on that bed. And I've replanted them here, so they'll go to seed. I harvested this quite heavily. A few weeks ago, took off all the massive leaves, and the leaves were almost as big as the shard leaves I showed you. So yeah, so this is my collards. They will grow quite tall. I've already harvested my purple broccoli. Sorry, I didn't show you, but it was massive. I mean, it grew to the size of the top of the shed. It was huge, and the stalks were so thick, like that thick. But I harvested them out, and these are the new purple broccolis. So all of these. This will give me my crop last year. I had such a wonderful harvest that I decided to put in more plants. And then I've just got a few calabrese dotted in here as well that I had spill over. So yeah, so that's my garden so far, little fennels. All I've got left to put in now are my aubergines and my green beans, and sweet corn. So sweet corn, green beans will go in these two beds. Oh my gosh, I forgot to show you. I have also got asparagus come up for the first time. My asparagus is actually growing. So there's one there, and there's a really fat one. I hope you can see it. Really, really fat one there. Yeah, and they're actually, it's all over the place, but I appreciate they're quite difficult to see. So that's my asparagus. So obviously I can't harvest it this year, but what I'll do is by year 3, I'll be able to start harvesting them gently, little bits and pieces, and take it from there. Yeah, I've got some beetroot, my first lot of beetroot coming up. So really excited about my garden this year. I intend to grow as much of my own food as possible. Obviously there's things I'll need to buy because I can't grow bananas and oranges and things like that. So there are things that I will need to buy, but I'm hoping to grow the majority of my food from my garden and eat it. And may I also say, this is year 4. And the French sorrel is still going strong. So if you really want something perennial, French sorrel and celery, like certainly for me, see, celery's coming up everywhere, absolutely everywhere. I didn't plant these, they literally just came up. I've got sorrel in this bed as well, behind the lemongrass. So, sorry, not lemongrass, lemon verbena. It just grows absolutely everywhere. So yeah, so this is my garden. We went to the Malvern show in September last year, and I picked up some blueberry bushes which are flowering and giving me, I'm looking forward to getting some beautiful blueberries this year. So yeah, there. And then I've got a cherry tree which I purchased from, I think, Sutton's, took forever to come, and a peach tree as well. So really looking forward to that. And then this is my peach tree that I grew from seed. I overwintered it, and it had fantastically big green lush leaves, and the minute I got it outside, the sun scorched it and all of the leaves went brown and they're falling off, but you can see it's got some new growth, so it's hopefully going to do well. So yeah, this is my garden. I hope you enjoyed the tour, and I'll give you an update yeah, as we go. Oh, I forgot to say, got comfrey growing at the back. So the comfrey, as you can see, it's starting to flower. The bees love it, by the way. So this is where I get my fertilizer for plant food. Let's see if I can show you. Right at the back there, probably can't see it. There's a big drum with the red lid. That's full of fertilizer that I made last year, which is basically just soaking the comfrey leaves in water for 3 weeks. It smells disgusting, but it makes the most amazing nitrogen fertilizer. So yeah, so this is my garden, guys. This is my garden, my wonderful garden. Looking forward to it producing for me this year. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.